few sisters out there listening, learning, believing. I'm Dr. Labor Kanakla coming at you once again with another lesson, Lord's will, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Sham Yahweh Shai. This lesson is edifying and also exhorting. This will be a quick lesson. Lord willing, I'm going to say a lot within a short period of time. All right, a lot going on. What the title of this lesson is Babylon the Great, or America. All right, because America is known, one of its code names in the scripture is Babylon the Great, Egypt, Sodom, and so on and so forth. All right, the prophets that spoke concerning, all right, America. It was a prophetic, all right, terminology. Okay, because all these ancient civilizations, they already basically came and went, but these are prophets. All right, so when it speaks about Babylon or Egypt, it's talking about America. But Babylon the Great, aka America, is at the finish line. All right, America is at the finish line. It's done. All right. As you just know, see as of October 1st, 12:01 midnight, the government shut down. And how convenient, all right, was that? Especially in a time where the so-called left and right wing, all right, are at its closest it's ever been since the first Civil War, of actually going into a civil war. All right, the divisions at all-time high. The military is divided. Okay, you have generals, 4-star generals, and so on and so forth, speaking against Trump and his new administration that's in the office now, and basically how they're infringing on people's rights to Constitution, okay, and saying how they will not stand for it and they're willing to die. So let's get right into it. The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. And that's how the Lord is coming to visit America. All right, that swift cloud is a code name for spaceships or UFOs. It says, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of the Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And it's all this false gods and idols that ancient Egypt had, and basically America follows after those same customs, that idolatry. It says, and I will set, this is the point here, and I will set Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother. So Americans against Americans. Again, this is talking about a prophetic, Egypt, which in code is talking about America. It says, shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. And that's exactly what's happening. Everybody knows the economy is finished. All right. There are no jobs. The dollar is failing. Gold is at an all-time high. Gold is almost at 4K an ounce. All right, which is unheard of. Nobody can afford. It's out of reach for the average person. All right, let's go to show you the dollar is failing. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. All right, all this sorcery. All right, America was founded off witchcraft. So-called founding fathers were all Masons, man. All right, that's how America got its power. All right. It says, and Egyptians give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. A fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts, all right, of armies. So that fierce king, and then look, his terrors. Look at this, was a direct result of his terrors right here.
Instead of pit. It's a sad scene. Perfectly good tomatoes are being plowed over instead of pit. It's a sad scene happening in South Florida. instead of picked. It's a sad scene. Perfectly good tomatoes are being plowed over instead of picked. It's a sad scene happening in South Florida.
You can't even afford to pick them right now between the cost of the labor and the inputs that go in. It's more cost effective for the farmers to just plow them right now.
Heather Moling understands the struggles that farmers are facing right now. She's part of the family that runs the Homestead produce stand. Robert is here.
These are local tomatoes here.
She says farmers used to get $16 for a box of tomatoes. It's now down to $3 or $4.
Just a horrible price. Some of that has been from what Mexico is bringing into the country, and some of that has been just with the threat of the tariffs.
Farmers say President Trump's tariffs and the threat of tariffs have caused thousands of acres of tomatoes to go to waste because the cost to pack and pick them is more than what tomatoes are selling for this year.
It costs you, close to, probably over $10 a box, close to $11 a box to break even. So if you're selling tomatoes for $3 and $4 and $5, you can just figure out pretty quickly what the losses are.
Tony Damari with Damari Homestead says his company has experienced huge losses. He won't disclose how much, but says South Florida farmers are hurting.
The Mexican industry exported, in some cases, double and triple the daily volumes as to beat being subject to the 25% tariff in February and March and the 10% tariff in April. That just devastated our markets in the U.S.
Those tariffs never went into effect, but the damage was done. When Mexico flooded the market with cheap tomatoes, local farmers couldn't compete and didn't even bother picking their fields. Now the U.S. government has plans to put an anti-dumping duty on fresh Mexican tomatoes starting in July to try and prevent that from happening again. But it's not just tomatoes from Mexico that's hurting our farmers.
Come on, man.
Perfectly good.
All right, man. But, it's too late. The damage is done. All right. So there's a famine brewing. There's a famine coming. All right. It's over with. This place is at the finish line. See this. 100,000 government. Let's see. This is all based off of articles in a group chat, but I don't want to go put the group chat right now on there because I haven't got it organized. All right. All right. So you see here, largest mass resignation in U.S. history as 100,000 federal workers quit. So the government is being completely dismantled. All right, some 100,000 federal workers are set to formally quit the U.S. government in what will constitute the largest mass resignation of government workers in U.S. history. The resignations, which come as a part of a program drawn up by President Donald Trump at the start of his second administration, will happen on Tuesday. All right, as Congress is facing a deadline on saying they to authorize more funding or risk a government shutdown, which this is a day ago and it already happened. Okay, we'll see how long, this government shutdown takes place, but this could be the catalyst. All right, that big piece of basically accelerating the end of this society. Okay. And then here it is. You got more troops being deployed all over the country. All right, so something big is getting ready to take place as this current system is being dismantled. All right. America is completely under siege. All right. Habakkuk 2:1, I will stand upon my watch, and that's what we're doing.
And we see U.S. troops are being deployed all over the states, man. All right. And that's what we see. We see the economy falling. All right. A famine is coming. U.S. farmers are in straits, man. U.S. farmers suffer big time. Big time. That's just one. All right. U.S. farmers. And then at the same time, oh my God. At the same time, right? You got these countries like Russia, China, just basically advancing their nuclear arsenals with missiles that are basically unstoppable.
If you talk to America's farmers, they'll tell you these are tough times. A combination of high operating costs, low commodity prices, and lost markets has had devastating repercussions on the agriculture. If you talk to America's farmers, they'll tell you these are tough times. A combination of high operating costs, low commodity prices, and lost markets has had devastating repercussions on the agriculture industry and the communities built around it. CBS's Lana Zak is in Davenport, Iowa tonight with new details on the growing crisis.
Farmers say this has been a perfect storm. They were already battling higher growing costs and crop disease. And now China, which had previously purchased half of all U.S. exports, has pulled out.
U.S. soybean farmers are starting their harvest, but they face steep losses that could fuel farm bankruptcies and foreclosures nationwide.
This is awful discouraging. You know, we do our very best to grow a good crop to feed the world, and then we can't hardly give it away.
Many growers say they feel betrayed. Last week, the Trump administration gave Argentina a financial lifeline, a $20 billion loan. But Argentina then cut the price of its own soy exports to China, undercutting U.S. farmers.
If we don't do something, we're not going to have no more family farms.
In Arkansas this month, hundreds of farmers packed into a church to plead for help from the government.
I'm in the worst shape right now that I've ever been in.
With prices for crops crashing, farmers are doing everything they can to stay viable, even selling off equipment. Joel's Tractors in Strawberry Point, Iowa saw a 30% jump in farm machinery up for auction this year.
Put a fingerful of grease in there.
Keeping aging tractors running has Lawrence Christensen and his team working at full throttle.
The demand is stronger than the availability.
New equipment costs have increased by 60% in the last 8 years. John Deere, a U.S. manufacturing icon, says U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum will cost them $600 million this year. Over the past 2 years, the company has had to lay off 2,500 employees.
The majority of my family works here.
Gabriel Gomez was a proud Deere employee, following in the footsteps of his dad and uncles. Friday was his last day.
It's like a kick to the gut, right? When you're getting laid off after you've given 20 plus years to the company.
When you think about these tariffs and the ripple effects that they've had, do you think it's worth it?
You know, you hope that possibly in the long term they would be helpful. Currently here in the short term, no, it's really killing us. We were sold that we were going to do everything we could for the American workers, and we're seeing quite the opposite at this time.
President Trump says he will make it up to farmers, promising them some of the tariff revenue. But here in this area where John Deere is headquartered, the economic losses are hitting the entire community.
Lana Zak, thank you.
Go to the government for help and assistance, and what basically happened. These people are at their knees. Here it is. Hundreds of farmers. These people are at their knees, man. All right, begging for help, and that's exactly how the U.S. always wanted it. All right, all that.
Arkansas this month, hundreds of farmers.
No, they're taking. I think Bill Gates was buying up all that farmland a couple of years back. Right, some of these farmers saw it from the get-go and got up out of there. And then here it is, the longer they trying to hang in, because I've seen it, even in the trucking industry. All right, over the last couple of years, last 5 to 10 years, I've been seeing it. Because I work in that industry, basically like commercial driving, and people that own their own trucks, all right, basically was saying like, I wish I would have got out a long time ago, because basically, the cost to keep operating, they ended up losing, all right, if they would have just got out and sold the truck, a minute ago, they say they would have been all right, but they kept trying to hang in there and stick it out. But the thing is that we're just not, and this is not just a rough period. All right, I'd be like, we're just in rough times right now. No, this is the end. Okay, that's it. All these the middle class, or these your own businesses, mom and pops, or whatever. The time of that is over with. Carl Schwab said, the former head of the World Health Organization, WHO, I think that's the organization. But he said, you will own nothing and be happy. So the time for you owning shit, this is the biggest wealth grab in the history. All right? People losing their houses, losing their property, and then look, the taxes, the equipment, all right? All those raw materials, the steels, the metals, all that come from China, all right? It's over with, man. We ain't just living in some rough times. This is the end, the collapse of this society. Habakkuk 2:1, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and I will answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth the vision, the end. That's what the prophets, that's what they all spoke about. The end, man. That's the vision. What will happen in the end? All right? The day of the Lord. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And right now it's here. All right? Call Halayim La Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. You got troops, all right, all over the U.S. Okay? Salakia, bear with me. All right? It's in Portland. People being chased down by these agents, pulling up in white vans. Salakia, pulling up in white vans, man, running people down. America, hunting people down. People got bounties on them. And it's just a matter of time for these people to get hostile, man.
Forward circle. Circle around.
So again, he's Trump's hide, his generals drop surprise bomb on him. Again. All right, these people aren't playing, man.
In the face of a buffoon. General, I'll start with you and just your reaction. I'm sure you've talked to some of your old colleagues, maybe who were in the room or
subsequent to his little military meeting earlier this week.
To that spectacle yesterday.
Yeah, Willie, I did talk to a few.
In the face of a buffoon.
General, I'll start with you and just your reaction. I'm sure you've talked to some of your old colleagues, maybe who were in the room or some who just watched at home. What was the reaction to that spectacle yesterday?
Yeah, Willie, I did talk to a few. Many people in that room I've served with. I didn't retire that long ago, so some of those senior members were junior members when I was still in the service. What was interesting is it came about in two parts. First of all, Secretary Hegseth's address. I took notes as he spoke, as I was watching it. And just some of the things that I made bullet points about were Liberation Day, kill things and break people, or kill people and break things, excuse me, war crimes, Geneva Convention elimination, rules of engagements are unnecessary, suggesting women can't meet the standards, returning to the days of drill sergeants smoking recruits during basic training, suggesting the elimination of IG actions, especially as he's being investigated for the use of signal apps by those IGs. Hawking his own book at the end, The War on Warriors, I've read, and it's a compilation of thoughts from a disgruntled soldier who has very little understanding of strategic implications of various actions. Then when it turned to the president, you've already addressed this, meandering. Just all sorts of issues, much like the UN speech he gave. So many things to talk about from that speech, but the war from within, as you just mentioned, and putting soldiers on American streets to train how to react to different enemies from within were two of the highlights that I wrote down. And it was just a combination of two things that I believe we're leading to what we might see next. And the other thing I'd say is President Trump thrives on applause and cheering and interactions with an audience. And when he didn't get that and instead got quiet professionalism from the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in the audience, that likely rattled them from the very beginning.
And all these generals that you see in there, all right. Well, it's gonna get bad, man. It's gonna get bad. All right, it's gonna get bad. They're gonna have to call in these people that they let over the border, all these foreign nations. They're gonna have to get the job done, cause it's, oh my goodness. You ever seen the movie Civil War? It's just a glimpse of what's getting ready to happen.
And I would have loved to just...
Geneva Convention eliminate.
Under siege. All your freedoms, so-called freedoms and liberties, all right, is over with. Revelation 18:1, after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighting with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunken of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. All right, America's philosophies. All right, it's democracy. You know, it's way of life. That's the wine that they've drunken. It says, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. All right, this is where you would export, all the nations would export all their goods, and they wax rich off of that. All right, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. And this is going to be literal, okay? That ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, because the missiles are coming to destroy this place. That's why I was speaking in a prophetic sense. It says, Babylon great is fallen, become the habitation of devils. Because when you go into the book of Isaiah, it tell you basically after this place is cleaned up by those missiles, it's just going to be a big desert. And only desert creatures going to dwell in it. Eventually, once that fire goes down, all right? It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, who is the Lord's people, the Israelites, all right? That ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto the heaven, the way America was established, all right? Off of murder, robbery, all right? Genocide. It says, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. So the Most High have remembered the iniquities of this place. So it's being systematically broken down. All right. And you devils are getting ready to pay. You devils live a lavish life. All right. And you can thank your elites that are responsible for this the NWO, where they're basically finna get ready to enslave the planet. All right, it's gonna be a digital slavery. Okay, digital, where you're gonna have to receive that digital ID, and then the next phase is that CHIP, RFID, within the right hand or in your forehead. Revelation, the 13th chapter, starting at the 16th verse. This is the collapse of the system. Everything will be controlled under a digital grid. This is it. Man, keep playing around. What you think finna happen? So, I'm gonna leave it there. All right, you see it. It's on a court. How they said a crashing course. Okay, it's just finna get ready to run into a brick wall really fast. So, Lord willing, this is edifying, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashmi Shai. Till next time, say Shalom.